Chapter 5, Lecture 3, Elasticities. In the previous lectures, you'll learn how to derive the demand for medical care. You also learn to look at the impact of medical insurance on the demand for medical care. In this lecture, you will learn to measure these changes on demand, quantity demanded with respect to changes in different factors, which we call elasticities. Elasticity of demand is defined as responsiveness of quantity demanded to change in an independent factors. So you wanted to see three types of elasticities: own price elasticity, income elasticity, and cross price elasticity. Own price elasticity of demand is the amount of change in consumption of a good or services when its price changes. So the elasticity of demand is equal to the percentage change in quantity demanded with respect to the percentage change in price, which always is less than zero, negative, because it shows the relationship basically between the price and quantity based on the law of demand is always inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded. So the percentage change in quantity demanded with respect to percentage change in price is scale free since it's a ratio of 2 percentage change. So therefore, the value of the elasticity of demand is always negative, which reflects the negative relationship between the price and quantity demanded, and we use absolute value because we don't care about the sign because it's always negative. All we care is the size of the elasticity of demand. Now, for example, if the price elasticity of demand for ice cream is 1.8, this means that if the price of ice cream increases by 10%, the quantity consumed or demanded falls by 18%, ceteris paribus, all else being equal, so your income is the same. The prices of other goods and services are the same. The temperature is the same. Everything is the same. The only thing changes is just the price of the ice cream increases by 10%, and you wanted to measure basically how much your the demand for ice cream changes, and you see that it changes even by bigger percentage than the price. So therefore, this is responsive. This is elastic demand. So it's 1.8 is greater than 1. So we say that ice cream is elastic basically. It has a greater than 1 on price elasticity of demand. Do you expect to have this responsiveness with respect to the medical care as well? Let's see. Let's see different types of own price elasticity of demand. First, let's start with the perfectly inelastic demand. When the elasticity of demand is zero, means that there is no response here. By changing the price, there is no response in change in the quantity demanded. So it's perfectly inelastic demand, means that the change in the quantity demanded is equal to zero. So we have a vertical demand curve. No matter how much you change the price, there is no change in the quantity demanded. This means that you have a perfectly controlled power in the market for this product, because whatever, you change the price, there is no change in the quantity demanded. So nobody is going to decrease their demand for this product. There is a perfectly elastic demand. The second type is if the elasticity of demand is between 0 and 1, then the price in elastic, we say that the price in elastic demand because the change in the quantity demand is smaller than the percentage change in the price. So we have some changes in the quantity demand. Some people, they are going to decrease their demand and consumption by changing the price, by increasing the price, or by decreasing the price, the consumption will be increased. But the change in the quantity demanded will be smaller than the percentage change in the price. So it's a price in elastic demand. It's between 0 and 1. If the elasticity of demand is 1, then we have a unit elastic demand. This is perfectly in the case that your change in the quantity demand is going to be perfectly equal to the exactly equal to the percentage change in the price. So if the elasticity of demand is between 1 and infinity, then price elastic, we have price in elastic demand, means that your percentage change in quantity demanded is greater than percentage change in the price. So we have a flatter demand curve at any given price. So you have a price elastic demand, means that if you wanted to change your price in the market, you have to expect a bigger change in the quantity demanded. So whether you are decreasing your price or increase, of course, by decreasing the price, the quantity demanded will be increased, and by increasing the price, your quantity demanded will be decreased, because there is an inverse relationship between these two, right? So if the elasticity of demand is infinity, this shows perfectly elastic demand, means that basically we have a horizontal demand curve. Any changes in the price, any small changes in the price leads to an infinite change to quantity demanded. We wanted to know why the elasticity of demand for medical services is very small. It's an elastic. We have an elastic demand for medical services. Means that if you are a pharmaceutical company for a very specific drug for depression, um, and you have a good market for this drug for depression, by changing the price of this drug, the consumption for this drug will be actually very, very small, because so many patients, they are used to use this basically medical care, medical treatment for depression. There are four factors may explain the inelasticity of demand for medical services. The first one is that many consumers have health insurance, who therefore they're very they're less sensitive to the price changes, because they all care about their out-of-pocket price. If their co-insurance is, for example, 10%, even by increasing the medical services from $100 to $200, they have to pay the co-insurance from $10 to $20. So it's a small, this basically because of the having insurance, this out of pocket accounts for a small amount of their budget. So therefore, they don't care about this basic change in the price. So therefore, that's why the demand for medical services is inelastic. So there is no response to changing the quantity demanded because of changing the price. The second result is the short time frame, since the need for medical services is sometimes urgent. Most of the time is urgent, actually. Consumers have little time to make informed choices and react strongly to price changes. If you have a broken hand, you're in the street, you're running, and you fall on your hand, you break your hand, your wrist. What you're gonna do, you're just gonna get up and go to the closest, basically medical, say that urgent care, to take care of your broken wrist, right? So there is a short time frame here. You don't have time to basically go and check out the price of the urgent care compared to the basically other alternative choices you have. So it's a short time frame here. You have to take care of that, basically urgent problem you have. And then the third reason why the demand for medical services in Elastic is that medical care is generally considered a necessity and purchased with little regard to price. So when you need a treatment for your depression, and the price of the that specific drug, which is actually working very well with your specific basically cases for depression, if the pharmaceutical company, for example, increase the price of that treatment twice, you're not going to actually stop shopping your consumption for that specific treatment that works very well with your situation. So your response to the change in the price is usually in basically market is very small compared to the other product and services. The last reason why the demand for medical services in Elastic is the lack of substitute, which influencing the elasticity of demand for medical care. So when there is not a really complete, perfectly substitute for the medical care, so therefore you need that specific treatment, and you're not going to shop around and basically even if the industry increase the price for that treatment that you're used to use that, you're going to continue to buy that product, that medical services, because there is no real close substitute for that medical services. Now you understand the definition of elasticity. Let's see the calculation. So suppose that we have the price per unit in the vertical axis, we have the quantity of medical services in the horizontal axis, and we have two types of demand here. One is in the black line, black curve, which is relatively elastic. So elastic means that flatter, and the other one, red curve, dB, is relatively inelastic. So inelastic is more vertical and elastic is flatter. Now initially we have the price at P1 equal 10 and quantity is at 10 again, Q1. Now we wanted to see if there is a price change, how is going to affect these two demand curve. One is relatively elastic and the other one is inelastic. So if the price increase from $10 to $12, so the one with inelastic, basically the price here changes from $10 to $12. The quantity demanded for the inelastic demand changes from Q1 to Q2 from 10 to 9, and the quantity demanded for more elastic demand changes to QA, which is around like 4 basically, right? So it's the relatively elastic one response is bigger than the response for relatively inelastic one. Let's put it in the actual calculation and calculate that. The change in quantity demanded for a relatively inelastic and a relatively elastic demand curves when the price changes from P1 to P2. So let's start with the relatively inelastic one. Inelastic one means that let's start with this one, dB. So the price initially was $10. The quantity initially was 10 units, and then for the inelastic one, when the price increased to $12, the quantity demanded decreased from 10 to 9, only 1 unit. So let's put it in this formula. The elasticity of demand is percentage change in the quantity demanded with respect to percentage change in price, which is equal to the change in the quantity over the change in the price multiplied by the price over the quantity. So the formula would be Q2, means that the second change, basically the quantity after the change minus the initial quantity over the price after the change minus the initial price multiplied by the initial price and initial quantity equal to the change, the quantity after the change was 9 minus the initial quantity was 10 over the price after the change was 12 minus the initial price was 10 multiplied by initial price over the initial quantity. So then we have the minus 0.5, which is the basically shows less than 1 responsiveness of the change in the quantity with respect to the change in the percentage change in the prices. So this less than 1 shows the relatively inelastic demand curve, the red curve, which is inelastic, which is more vertical. Now let's calculate the elasticity for this curve, the black one, a relatively elastic one. When we have the change in the quantity demanded for an elastic demand curve, which is the dA, then initially the price is 10, the quantity is 10, quantity demanded is 10 as well, and then the price 2 in the change to 12, and the quantity changed to 4 here. So let's put it into this formula. We have the elasticity of demand is equal to the percentage change quantity over the percentage change in price, which gives us the second quantity demanded is 4 minus the initially was 10 over the second price or price after change is 12 minus the initial price multiplied by the initial price over the initial quantity, which is minus 3. Minus 3 is greater than 1. So its absolute value of the minus 3 is 3, which is greater than 1, which shows that this is very elastic demand curve. Means that the demand is very responsive to the change in the price. Means that there are so many substitutes in the market. If compared to this one, which is inelastic, means that there are not so many substitutes in the market. Now, let's calculate the own price elasticity demand in another way. When we have the formula for the, for example, when we have Q quantity is equal to the 4 minus P, and then the question is giving you price is 1 and quantity is 3, you have to just say that the elasticity of demand, the formula is percentage change in quantity with respect to percentage in price is equal to the change in quantity over change in price multiply the initial price, initial quantity. So basically this change in quantity with respect to change in price is the slope of demand curve. So a slope of demand curve is given to us minus 1 here. Minus 1 multiplied by the initial price over the initial quantity, which is 1 over 3, which is minus 0.3. So this is not basically this is not elastic demand curve because the responsiveness of the quantity demanded with respect to price is smaller than 1, right? So own price elasticity of demand for medical care is an elastic with respect to price because the consumers typically pay a small portion of the cost of medical services, right? Because of they have insurance, because medical services are sometimes of an urgent nature, and because medical services are necessities such as operation or drug, basically you need it. So these three reasons that we talked about that in the previous slides, but in different language. So more elastic demand curve is when the consumer is more sensitive to the price changes. If it accounts for bigger portion of the budget, right? Then if, for example, if there is a price change from 10,000 to 20,000, then definitely you wanted to think about your demand for this product. So because it accounts for bigger portion of your budget. Any services that can be postponed, then so the time is very important for making that more elastic. So if you can actually postpone that, that would be your if you can postpone your consumption, that would be means that demand for that product is elastic. And for elective medical care, luxury such as cosmetic surgery, so that's something, you can see that there are a lot of, um, basically you can see a lot of sales going on for cosmetic surgery because they have very elastic demand. So by decreasing the price, they can actually increase the quantity demanded, and they can make money. So if there are more substitute available, so that makes the product more elastic. Now, why these are very important in basically in economics, and that we use that in all the disciplines. So it has applications in all the disciplines. But let's see, what is the application of own price elasticity of demand? For example, in total revenue, you wanted to decide whether to change the price. If you change the price, what's going to happen to the total revenue? You know that the total revenue is the multiplication of the price and quantity. So if you are selling a product for $10, if you sell, for example, 100, 10 multiplied by $100 is going, the total revenue is going to be $1,000. Now, you wanted to see if you change the price, what's going to happen to your total revenue, and whether you have to change the price or not. When you have elastic demand, if you change the price, your percentage change in quantity is going to be greater than percentage change in price. So what does it mean? Means that your quantity decreases faster than the price increase. So in that case, since the demand is elastic, if you increase the price, you're basically decreasing your total revenue. That's not a smart move here. So if you have to understand your product, whether you have an elastic demand product or you have an elastic demand product. If you have an elastic demand product, by increasing the price of your product, you're going to decrease basically your total revenue. So therefore, if you have elastic demand, means that there are so many substitutes for your product, or means that your product is not a necessity, is a luxuries basically, or maybe that can be postponed for the future. By increasing the price, you're going to lose the customer for your product. and your income will be decreased. The total revenue will be decreased. But if you have an elastic demand, say that you have a medical treatment for depression that is basically a new basically drug that has a patent and is very effective, and there is no substitute for that. In that case, you have the power, you have the market power. You can increase the price for that medical treatment or services, and for sure you're not going to lose so many customer. Basically, the percentage change in the quant demanded decrease will be definitely smaller than percentage change in the prices. So you will actually here when the price increase faster than quantity demanded falls, so you will basically your income will be increased, your total revenue increase. So in that case, it's a smart for you to increase the price because you have the market power. There is no substitute for your product. When you have a product that has a unit elastic demand, in that case, it doesn't matter if you change your price, your quantity demanded will be changed inversely the same amount, so there will be no change in the total revenue. So there is no basically point of changing the price. Income elasticity of demand. So far we were talking about the price elasticity of demand. Now let's talk about the income elasticity of demand, which actually measures the percentage change in quantity demanded with respect to change in income. We wanted to know how much the quantity demanded change with respect to change in income. Why this is important? Because the market is good, the economy is doing well, and you wanted to know when the income of the people increase, how much is going to impact the quantity demanded for your product. So you need to know the elasticity of demand for your product, income elasticity of demand for your product. Then you can actually measure and see how much you're going to earn by increasing the income of the people. So the amount of change in demand for a product with respect to change in the real income, you can actually measure the quantity demanded percentage change in quantity demanded with respect to percentage change in the income, how much basically would be the income elasticity of demand for your product. Now, if your product is a normal good, means that normal good versus the inferior good means that the product has a good quality basically. Inferior good means that a bad quality product and services. When we have a normal good, increasing income makes us to demand more of the normal good and less of the inferior good. So for example, if you were going to a basically to a so when we measure the income elasticity of demand, we look at the type of the basically product. If the product is normal good, means that it has a good quality, by increasing the income, the demand for the product increased. No, suppose that. So versus when the product is inferior or services inferior good, by increasing the income, everybody is going to decrease their demand from this product away from this product toward the normal good. For example, you live in a small city with a very low quality medical care, basically services. So it's a urgent care. By increasing your income, you may actually travel to a bigger city to get a care from a better quality medical care, basically services. So that's actually inferior good, is that a small medical care in your small city with the low quality, which is inferior. By having higher income, you're going to decrease your demand for these low quality medical care services to the high quality medical care. So the income elastic demand for normal good is greater than zero. Any increase in the income leads to an increase in quantity demanded, and the income elasticity of demand for inferior good is less than zero. An increase in income leads to a decrease in the amount consumed for goods with low quality. Now, most types of the medical care, they have basically positive income elasticity of demand. The last types of elasticity we talk about is the cross-price elasticity of demand. So, extent to which the demand for a product changes when the price of another product is altered. Now, you're measuring the impact of the changes in the price of one product on the quantity of demanded in another product. So this should be actually related product. So we wanted to see the percentage change in quantity of demanded for X with respect to percentage change in price for Z product. So if these products are related, means that they're complement in consumption, therefore you see a negative actually sign here, means that, for example, the best traditional example in economics, we say that automobile and gas. So when the price of automobile increase, the price of gas decrease, the demand, when the price of the automobile increase, the quantity demanded of gas decrease, because the people, they buy less automobile, and therefore the price of the demand for gas decrease, or vice versa. So complements, for example, if the price of optometrics, basically ophthalmologists, increase, the quantity demanded for the eyeglasses decrease as well. So these are the complement in consumption. The increase in the price of one of these decrease the quantity demanded of the complement goods. When these two products are substituted in consumption, for example, brand and generic drugs, then the increase in the price of one of them is going to increase the quantity demanded for the substitute, like the brand and generic drugs. And if the cross price elasticity of demand is zero, means that these basically goods are unrelated. So if we calculate, look at the impact of price of change in the price of one product on the quantity demanded of another product, and we see that there is a cross price elasticity equals zero, we can conclude that there is no relationship between consumption, the price and consumption of these two products. Now we wanted to estimate the basically own price elasticity of demand of some medical, basically, product and services here. These are some example. The question is giving us the own price elasticity of demand equal to minus 0.25, which is basically should be in minus, but it's 0.25. So the own price elasticity of demand is less than 1. The income elasticity of demand equals, again, is less than 1, but income elasticity usually for normal good is positive. Cross price elasticity of demand for hospital services with respect to the price of nursing home services equals to basically negative 0.1, and elasticity of travel time equals to negative 0.37. The question is asking you what happens if average travel time to the hospital diminishes by 5% due to overall improvement in the public transportation services. So the question is asking about the public transportation system. So therefore, you have to look at the elasticity of travel time here and multiply by the 5%, basically. So you can multiply the elasticity of travel time, 37% by 5%, and get the basically the calculation gives you basically demand for hospital services should increase by multiplication of 0.37 by 5%. The second question is asking you what happened if price of nursing home care decreases by how much? So the question is asking you what happens if price of nursing home care decreases by, say that, 10%. So then, so you're looking at the information about the nursing home here. It says that cross price elasticity of demand for hospital services with respect to the price of nursing home services equals negative 0.1. So you have to just multiply the negative 0.1 by 10% to get the demand for hospital service decrease by 0.1 multiplied by 10. The next question is asking you average real income decreases by, say that, by 10%. Now, what happened? The demand for hospital services should decrease by how much? So you look at the average real income, you look at the income elasticity is 0.45, and you multiply by so the demand for hospital services decrease by by 45% multiplied by 10, which is 4.5%, because the income elasticity of demand is equal to 0.45, and the average real income decreases by, say that, 10% multiplied by 0.45%, it will be 4.5%. The hospital is forced to increase its price for service by, say that, 2%. So you look at the hospital own price elasticity, which is 0.25%, multiplied by, if it's 2%, then this is going to be 2 multiplied by 25, 0.25 is going to be 5%. Um,